Friends, put your hands together to welcome on stage Quizmaster Big Brain.
Hello and a warm welcome to each and every one of you. You're with me, Big Brain, here today on a day that we had ourselves perhaps not imagined. Well, before we all get started, let me wish all of you in perhaps an equal vein to celebrate the birthday today of a great educator, someone who perhaps or arguably was one of the greatest teachers who touched the lives of perhaps 1 billion Indians at that time. As we as a nation pay tribute as India and as a world, we respect this great leader, great teacher, great philosopher in his own way, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And on this day, we are truly delighted as the TeacherTribe.world, which in itself came into existence as a vision of Dr. Kalam, when he told us we should do something to celebrate teachers as well as we celebrate our children. And that is what created the teacher.in, which has evolved to become TeacherTribe.world. And parallelly to this great teacher giving us an idea to bring together teachers was one single teacher who conceptualized an idea, who thought of how teachers could take part in events just like students do. And thus was created the idea of a teacher's quiz. Technology has made us perhaps take this forward, and today we're truly proud, happy, and humbled as we present to you the first ever world final of Know It All, the World Teachers Quiz 2020. It gives me pride to say that with great amount of confidence we perhaps are able to share that we would be making this an annual event. The confidence comes from the fact that we had about 12,000 teachers from right across the length and breadth of this world. 11 or 12 countries took part. We had people from Zambia, Germany, United States, the Middle East, Japan. Truly, truly overwhelming to see that kind of participation. The other side, well, in many ways, our teachers became students. The passion was the same. The fist pumping was the same. They did not have someone next to them to give the high fives in this digital medium, but we could see that enthusiasm, the smile, the despair, all of that we see in our students is something we've seen in our teachers. The battle lines were truly tight. The battle lines were truly thick as it progressed from one round to another. We're also extremely indebted and in many ways grateful to the unexplainable role and support that we have got from TCS ION. They really stood by us through this, immediately said, "We are with you," and helped us go through the prelims seamlessly to come down from our 12,000 contestants to our 750, then to the 32 and 16 that we've seen here on the YouTube channel. But without a partner like Tata Consultancy Services ION team, this really would not have been possible and as seamless as they made it. So we really express our gratitude to them. But none of this would have really been possible without you teachers. You are the people who shape the future of the world. You're technically the ones who enable every other profession in the world. Well, you've probably been a little low on your contribution to producing more teachers in this world, because there seem to be more students willing to do everything else but wanting to be a teacher. Well, we'll correct that in the future. As they say, quizzes like this, I think they're going to be super inspired to be teachers. What is fantastic is the kind of knowledge repository our educators have and the kind of spread that this quiz has brought in. Through the quarterfinals, I probably feel guilty, and I accept that guilt, that I was continuously of the view that the women are outnumbering the men in this quiz, but we seem to have that equation corrected as far as the world final is concerned. We've got 3 gentlemen and 3 ladies, 2 of whom are anchoring and 2 each contesting. So that balance is absolutely perfect. But I think as far as our children are concerned, we are, in my opinion, in a world where gender just does not matter. It is the acumen that you bring to the table. It really does not matter today what gender you are. And I think that is something Dr. Kalam also stood by. He always believed in knowledge as being supreme and being the only virtue of the human. And that perhaps is what we need to celebrate here. But on that note, the occasion is not for long speeches, but I did owe my moments of gratitude to all those who've made this quiz happen, particularly before we start. That one teacher who brought this great dream into reality, Mrs. Rama Ranganathan. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful idea. As we are going to get started here today with 4 of our world final contestants. They have gone through grueling rounds, perhaps have surprised even themselves to reach the top 4 of the world. I'm not really sure any of the 4 took part saying, I will be in the top 4 of the world. And that is the right attitude of a teacher. Never take part looking at the outcome, take part looking at the journey. But for now, let's introduce you to our 4 wonderful finalists. But before I go there, let me introduce you to another young host who's been rising like every teacher in this space. Rashmi Furtado. She's no new face to many of you, especially those of you in the quizzing fraternity. She herself was an active teacher at NITK Surathkal, which is also her alumnus, and she grew from there to pursue her passion and is today the only professional woman host when it comes to quizzing across Asia. She's certainly grown in stride over the last half a decade that she's been actively in quizzing, and in the last decade that she's been on this side of education, if I should call it that. And is extremely passionate when it comes to knowledge and knowledge-related shows. So joining me from Surathkal, or very close to Surathkal, from a beautiful town called Mulki, is young Rashmi Furtado. She'll take us through our finalists and then join us from there to anchor a couple of rounds in this big final. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my co-host and a teacher at heart all the time, Miss Rashmi Furtado. All yours, Rashmi.
Thank you so much, Big Brain. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever world final of Know It All, the World Teachers Quiz. TeacherTribe.world has only one objective, and that is to celebrate the teacher. And that is why we created Know It All. And here we have the first 4 finalists. Before we get to know them, let me tell you, they have gone through multiple rounds of quizzing to reach the world final here today. Let me quickly introduce you to them. First up, we have Mr. Dhanush Reddy from Teja Vidyalaya, Kodar. There he is. Following him, we have Ms. Malika Kaleem from Srimati C.B. Adarsh Vidya Mandir Junior College, Nagpur. Up next, we have Mr. Vijay Krishna from Vidyaniketan Public School, Bangalore. And completing our lineup, we have Ms. Deepta Vivekanand from Sant Kabir Public School, Chandigarh. Well, these are our finalists. And if you have watched the semi-finals, I'm very sure you have seen the extraordinary performance all of them have put up. So let's see how they do in the world final here today. Over to you, Big Brain.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. I think you're bang on when you refer to the semi-finals. For all those of you who've been following this quiz and seen the semi-finals, we've got 4 completely different styles of quizzers lined up here with us. It's really, really fascinating. In Vijay Krishna, we saw probably a Dhoni-like finisher. He came back from behind. He was trailing at minus 150. And then he did the unthinkable to win that semi-final and get himself into the final. A remarkable performance by him. Dhanush Reddy played in almost like a game between an Australia-South Africa kind of a scenario. A high-scoring semi-final where he really had to outbeat some truly competitive quizzers. And on high-scoring rounds, the pressure can be on because every answer and every mistake counts more than it normally does. Well, Deepta was stacked up in a quiz where we had some really supreme quizzing talent. pedigree perhaps, was defined in that quiz. She herself comes with a quizzing pedigree. She had a former Tata Crucible finalist, a former Mastermind national champion, all of that stacked up. And that's probably where you just have to be your own self. Don't allow who else is with you to bother you, which is what we try telling our children. And she really stood her ground, answered what she knew, and played her game well. And in a sense, has therefore got herself into the top 4. Malika Kaleem has been battling not with her answers, but with technology. She certainly had her moments of turbulence trying to get her internet in place before the semi-final. Was so gracious to thank her contestants who had to wait for her for a while for her to get into that semi-final. In retrospect, I'm not sure the contestants would wait again for her. They would like to quiz in her absence. But the moment she came on, she was all guns blazing, and rightfully, as a college professor, she completes that stack for us, which was a debated decision for us to take, whether to keep this quiz open only to school teachers. And then we said, a teacher is a teacher. It does not really matter whether it is school or college. And I think we're truly, perhaps, grateful that a lot of college lecturers also took part, and Malika has indeed gone the entire distance as in the big final of this World Teachers Quiz. So, that's one of the ways in which the 4 have come. The 4 are very different in a sense. They play very different roles themselves in education. We've got an institution builder in young Vijay Krishna. He runs a school in Bangalore. We have a college lecturer in Malika. We've got a young social sciences teacher in Dhanush. And we've got probably a co-scholastics expert and someone who looks beyond normal academic exams, passionately follows something like storytelling in Deepta. So it's really nice, and it's beautiful when these things kind of fall in place to represent different facets of what our children require in the way our 4 world finalists have stacked up. But for the moment, if all of that sounds like a beautiful script of a Bollywood story, well, the story is yet to unfold. All 4 of them ready to go into the world final of this quiz. Ladies and gentlemen, and all you young boys and girls, just curious to see how equipped our teachers are with their knowledge? Well, you're in for a lot of surprise with these 4. They're outstanding quizzers. Trust me. Quick word on the rules. The rules of the game remain the same. On a normal, you get to play at 50. If you want to play a know-it-all card, which is a double, you will make that decision and increase your score to 100. Otherwise, we've not tampered with the format. We've kept it absolutely same. So we are not confusing you on any of those things. So you get to play with the same format. The whole objective for you is to just be calm and play the game. If we are ready, time for us to pick action on the first frontier of the first ever world final of Know It All. Let's see who knows it all. We get started with the first frontier around the world. Here it comes. All right. 50 if you get it right. 100 if you play the double. Minus is the equal of what you choose to play. So be careful. All hands on the buzzer. Eyes on the screen. Starting with the first one on your screen now. Who is missing in this sequence of Time magazine covers? These were the first 4 persons of the year from the Time magazine. Starting with Charles Lindbergh. The first 3 were all Americans. The 4th was the first non-American to become a Time Person of the Year. And in those days it was called the Man of the Year. Much later it was corrected to Person of the Year. Who's the missing cover? The first ever non-American to be recognized with the honor of Time Person of the Year. Way back in history. Otherwise it was all Americans for the first 3. None on the buzzer. Tough bouncer for our contestants on the first one. Well, starting with Charles Lindbergh, the list started, And it finally came down to one person to be selected from the rest of the world in the 4th edition or the 4th year of the Times Person of the Year. And it turned out to be one great person, undoubtedly perhaps the greatest of them all in a sense, with taking nothing away from the rest of the achievers. The first ever non-American to be given that honor, Mahatma Gandhi. Well, Deeptha's kicking herself on that one and says, I should have gone for it. Well, Time magazine got it right and said, the first non-American who deserves to be acknowledged as the Person of the Year or the Man of the Year at that time was none other than Mahatma Gandhi. Well, so he became the first non-American and the 4th in that sequence to become a Time magazine's Person of the Year. Tough first one as we begin this quiz on Dr. Kalam's birthday by paying a tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. Second one, on your screen, here we go. These are bus stops that you now find across London. A very unlikely company in the quote-unquote brick business is now getting into real constructions and is making these bus stops. They take just 3 hours to put the bus stop in place. Which unlikely company is getting into bus stop constructions? Deeptha is on the buzzer. If you can unmute yourself and tell us whether you're playing a 50 or a 100.
I'll play for a 50.
She's playing at a 50. It's a world final, so she does not want to hedge more than that. Yes?
I'm going to say Lego.
Lego. Oh, so they are now getting into real constructions with slightly bigger bricks. She is absolutely right. Oh, beautifully played. She's got a 50 on that. Lego is actually creating environment-friendly bricks made out of waste material. The sizes of the bricks are different. It's still interlocking, exactly the way we grew up as children, building our miniature bus stops. It took them more than 5 decades to figure out that the scale can change and it's still possible. But what a beautiful way. Imagine for a generation like ours standing in a real Lego bus stop. Well, that would be beautiful, isn't it? But for the moment, 50 to Deeptha as we go to the next one on your screens. Now, what is special about this shop? Or, where is this shop? Explain this shop to me. Absolute modern world. Malika is taking a shot. 50 or 100? Your mic needs to be unmuted. Yes, 50 or 100? 50 or 100, Malika?
100.
100, all right.
These are virtual shops at Kimberley. Hello.
These are virtual shops at Kimberley. Can you explain that a little more? What do you mean by a virtual shop?
The digital way of shopping.
Okay, so these are digital shops in Kimberley. She's gone for 100. Malika Kaleem, our professor from Nagpur, will get a minus 100. Well, tough question from the world that we live in. If you actually look closely and look at the floor and not the wall, it's a railway station. That's actually a metro train. The wall of the train is a shopping feed. You're standing waiting for your train. You click on the essentials that you want to buy. It's transported to the e-commerce shop. They deliver in your house before you reach home. If you actually look on the left of your screen, another guy is actually getting into the train. So we left that clue there because he's actually waiting to enter the door of the train. South Korea is making shopping easy by converting the walls of their metros as actually shopping sites. Innovation in the modern world that we live in. Absolute innovation. As we are moving into the final question of the first frontier, early starts, tentative starts. Here's the next one on your screen. Identify the location in the world where a great construction is based on this flower? You can identify the construction or the location. Where in the world would you find an enormous structure which is actually based on the logic of this flower? The name of the flower is Hymenocallis. It has a unique property. Dhanush is giving it a shot from Kodad. And 100 or 50, Dhanush, what do you want to play?
Sydney Opera House.
100 or 50?
50.
50. The Sydney Opera House will give you a minus 50. Well, the world final is living up to its reputation of being a world final. And finally, my questions are deserving some respect. Well, they were completely dismantled in the quarterfinal and semi-final, and Rashmi and me were pondering if we were perhaps not up to the mark in terms of gauging our teachers. But the beauty of the flower that you saw on your screen, it's a flower which is brilliant. It's a desert flower. One layer of the flower takes the weight of the next layer of the flower. The next layer of the flower takes the weight of the next layer of the flower. And that's how the flower actually evolves. Nature gave us the solution to build Burj Khalifa. The weight of the next floor actually rests on the previous floor. Otherwise, just close your eyes and imagine how deep a foundation would you require to build that tower. It would be impossible and impractical even in a desert to go that deep. So the solution actually came from a desert flower. Tough one, early days here today. It sets the tone for the world final. But very early days, Deepta still ahead with a 50, and she still feels she should have got Mahatma Gandhi in her kitty, and that would have probably taken her to 100 or 150. Malika playing the aggressive way that she does, but she's on a minus 100. But the beauty about her is minus or plus, she's always got that smile, which is fantastic. I just wish your students follow that as well. Dhanush starting on a minus 50, Vijay playing carefully in the first frontier. As we're going to progress into the second round of this world final at Know It All, the World Teachers Quiz. Time for us to move into what we call the vintage world. Here it comes. Well, it's a journey down memory lane. Of course, the levels are going to be at a world final level. But let me now bring in my young colleague, Ms. Rashmi Furtado from Mulki, to take us through the next couple of rounds. Rashmi, all yours.
Thank you so much, Big Brain. Well, as you can see, the stress levels are high and so is the enthusiasm. Let's see what happens in the second round, Vintage World. You know the rules of the game. You know what this round is all about. So let me get into the questions straight away. Question number 1. On your screen, contestants, please remember to tell me if you are going for a bonus or for a base value, that is 50 or 100. Moving on to the first question on your screen now. What two commonly used terms come from this old age practice of printing press? Malika on the buzzer. Yes, ma'am, you can unmute yourself. 50 or 100?
100.
100, all right, go on.
Lowercase. Lowercase.
All right, could you give me the other part of it? Lowercase and?
Lowercase and the uppercase.
Plus 100 to you, you are absolutely right. Uppercase and lowercase came from this particular printing press practice that was there from a long, long time ago. And with this, she negates the minus 100 that she had from the previous round. All right, moving on to the second question of this round on your screen now. What is this? Not too much of a clue here, but if you can look at it carefully, you can see a chessboard right there. All right, Malika on the buzzer again. She's aggressive on the buzzer. Her style hasn't changed. Yes, ma'am, go ahead. 50 or 100?
It seems to be the automatic chess from the times of Alan Turing.
All right. She did not tell me whether she wanted a 50 or a 100. Plus 50 to you, you're absolutely right. Robot chess or the mechanical clock, either or would have given you the positive points there. You're absolutely right. Robot chess, the answer I was looking for, or automatic chess, like she said. Moving on, question number 3 on your screen. What design for a well-known product came from this skirt? Look at the skirt very carefully. Something global, all over the world. We have seen this product all over the world. Something very simple, something that we consume. Dhanush on the buzzer. I think the consume part gave him a clue. 50 or 100, Dhanush?
100.
100. Go on.
Candies.
Candies. Oh, unfortunately, that's a minus 100, Dhanush. The answer I was looking for, the Coke bottle. The shape of a Coke bottle was derived from this skirt. It is the hopper skirt from the Victorian era. And from that particular skirt, we got the iconic shape of the Coke bottle. Well, it's a world final. You have to expect the questions to be of that standards. All right, the last question of this round on your screen now. How do we know this device today? All right, Malika, first one on the buzzer. Yes, ma'am, go on. 100 or 50?
100.
100.
The treadmill. What we have in the gyms today. The treadmills.
She's absolutely right. Treadmill, the answer I was looking for. Do you know the history behind treadmill?
Perhaps it started with the slaves. We have dogs also, like for various chores in the kitchen, then to grind the wheat into flour. So it was a treadmill pattern. This was done because the people were walking on it and the machine used to roll that way. The ancient.
Your logic is right. You still get 100. Your logic is right. But it was initially created to reform convicts in prisons. So they would have to walk on this over and over again, and they believed that this would reform the convicts. So that's the origin of treadmill. All right, moving on to round 3 of this quiz here today, World of People. Here it comes. All right, 4 more questions in this round. The rules remain the same. Buzzer rules also remain the same. Question number 1 on your screen now. Who is this? Identify a person from what you see on your screen. Look at the image very, very carefully. This is something that all of us learn in our schools. All of us. Without an exception. That's you. All right, Malika on the buzzer again. Yes, ma'am. 50 or 100?
100.
100, go on.
The Pythagoras theorem, the 90-degree angle, the triangle.
The Pythagoras theorem or Pythagoras, since we are in the round of world of people, she's absolutely right. Plus 100. What you can see on your screen is a right angle triangle. That's the reason I told you, please look at the screen carefully. All right, plus 100 to you, you're absolutely right. Moving on to the second question on your screens now. This man is a great writer whose novel became a great movie. Identify this man. An iconic movie. All right, everyone is thinking. Okay, just when I was about to give a clue, Malika presses the buzzer. Yes, ma'am, go on. 50 or 100?
100.
100. Go on.
Mario Puzo, Godfather.
Plus 100, you're absolutely right. He's known for his crime novels and Godfather, the movie that I was talking about. That's one of the iconic movies that was converted from his particular novel. She's absolutely right. Plus 100. She is going blazing on the buzzer and getting a lot of positives. I will let you know the scores are a little later. But now let's move on to the third question of this round. Here we go. Identify this lady. Known world over, she probably was one of the most first people on the internet recently. All right, Malika on the buzzer again. Yes, ma'am, 50 or 100?
100. The math wizard Shakuntala Devi.
100 for Shakuntala Devi plus 100. You're absolutely right. Wow, she's performing very well here. Shakuntala Devi, the answer I was looking for, and she gets a plus 100 for that. Moving on, the last question of this round on your screen now. Which famous person is this who was once an ambulance driver? Dhanush going on the buzzer first. Yes, Dhanush, 50 or 100?
50.
50, all right. I think he's a little worried after the negatives he did. Go on, Dhanush.
Is it Walt Disney?
Walt Disney drove an ambulance? Plus 50 to you, you're absolutely right. During World War I, he enrolled himself to be an ambulance driver for the Red Cross. You can actually see the Red Cross logo or the flag right there on the ambulance. And you can see a cartoon caricature drawn on the ambulance there. That's Walt Disney for you. You're absolutely right. Plus 50. Well, the scores at the end of round 3. Well, Malika leading the quiz with 450 points. And following her is Deepta with a 50 points in a kitty. Mr. Vijay is still on nil, but honestly, that's a good position to be as of now. You don't have a lot of ground to cover if you're not in the negatives. Dhanush trying to cover up his negatives, but he's still on a minus 100. So those are the scores at the end of round 3. Well, Big Brain will take over the remaining rounds of the quiz. Over to you, Big Brain.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You're watching the world final of Know It All, the World Teachers Quiz 2020. And boy, are we seeing some dramatic moments here in this quiz. On 50 is Deepta from Chandigarh. Yet to score is Vijay Rajagopal, but he's shown in the past that when he gets going, he can go really quick. Dhanush Reddy is perhaps coming from the same situation Mr. Rajagopal was in the semi-final. He's trying to climb back from minus 150, so he might want to pull a leaf out of how Vijay played that game. But ladies and gentlemen, we've got Mallika Tsunami Kaleem, who has come on with all force and fury from Nagpur here today with 450. She has really played out the last couple of rounds with remarkable confidence and clarity. She just does not seem to have one step in the wrong foot, and truly playing the game with an enormous amount of confidence. 2 rounds still to go. What the others would tell themselves is, if she could do that in 2 rounds, so can we. And that's really the attitude with which these teachers, I think, will approach the final 2 rounds. It's not over yet, and like they say, till it's over, it's never over. As we move into the penultimate frontier of our game here today, a round that we've received a lot of accolades as we've been doing this quiz. In fact, a lot of teachers who've been part of the quarterfinals and semi-finals have written to us saying, please make this a game again for our children. As the teachers have loved it, we hope to do it for the students at some point in time, maybe sooner than later. But for the moment, it's time to play What's the Good Word? Here it comes. Well, the L in our world remains silent with the grey there. And your answer is one single word. You will choose to play at 50 or 100. You know the rules of the round and the way it's played. The explanation will appear. The number of letters in the answer will appear in the form of boxes. If you are ready, starting with the first one on your screen now. This word actually comes from Greek and means the management of a household. Mallika has gone for it. She's on 450. Yes, Mallika, you got to get your mic on.
For 100.
For 100,
Economic.
you need to give me a perfect word.
The management of a household means ECONOMI. Economy.
Oh, 100 to you. She's got that perfectly right. She played 100. The word economy actually comes from your ability to manage a household, which is why perhaps a lot of people say, ask your mother to teach you the economics. Well, that probably is changing. Fathers like me also do management of the household. So, well, it's not any longer just the mother, but it comes from the Greek word of oikonomia, which means how do you handle the household carefully. The next one, 550 to Mallika in a big final. Well, here's the next one on your screens now. From the modern world, it's an extremely popular device. It gets its name from the Norse root word to set alight or start to burn. Mallika again. Oh boy. 50 or 100?
50.
50. Considerate of you. Thank you.
Kindle.
Kindle. Oh, you kindle a fire. Outstanding. Oh, Mallika Kaleem is truly out of the world here in the world final. She is on 600. Well, you might just want to check your WhatsApp. Maybe you're getting messages from the other contestants saying, please calm down, ma'am. You know? Well, here's the next one. But truly a delight to see the way she's playing here today. Here's the next one on your screens now. The land of the Aryans. Very few remember it that way. Deepta is giving it a shot. I reckon she'll play the hundreds because she needs, unless she's going to say, well, 4 letters for an answer. Which country are we talking about? Land of the Aryans. Yes, Deepta. 100 or 50?
I'll play for a 50. I think
She's still
it's
playing
Indo.
it. She's still playing at a 50. Yes?
Indo. INDO.
INDO minus 50. Well, Aryan became Aran and Aran became Iran. And that's how Iran is the land of the Aryans. Well, here's the next one. Hands on the buzzer. On your screens is the question now. It's Arabic for the restoring of broken parts. We teach it. Mallika stopping me. Mallika stopping me on that one.
I'll take a chance.
Yes.
100.
So you're playing at a 50.
Yes.
You're playing at a 50. Okay.
Algebra.
Algebra. Oh.
Yes.
Algebra is you take a total, you break it up, you put it on the left and the right, and then you put it together and make the equation balance. Beautiful. Restoring the broken parts is algebra. Oh boy, what a lady we have here in the world final. Well, all right. You might get an offer letter from the end of it from Mr. Vijay Krishna. Well, he runs a school and he would love to have people like you and educators like you. But oh boy, we've got some really, really remarkable quizzing. 650 to Mallika Kaleem from Nagpur. The others are just admiring her at this point in time. Well, they're just saying, oh boy, where did she come from? As we move to the final frontier of our battle here today, world of education. Here it comes. All right. On the final frontier of our game, we've got 4 questions, all from the world of education. And starting with the first one, as the rules remain the same. Or maybe should I change the rules? If Malika gets it right, she gets 50. If the others get it right, they get 200. All right. So, well, we're going to get started with the first one. 50 and 100. You choose to play at what you want to. Here's the first one on your screen. Identify this great institution of learning. Dhanush has given it a go. Will he play 100 or a 50?
100.
100. Sorry?
Nalanda.
Absolutely. Oh, extremely well played. Nalanda being brought back to life by the vision of Dr. Kalam, who said, why don't we revive Nalanda? And then Dr. Amartya Sen came in to become the first man in the modern era to lead Nalanda to its reconstruction, perhaps, in the education domain. Here's the next one on your screens. Identify this thinker. I worded my question well. Identify this, quote unquote, thinker. Who also perhaps taught the world to think differently. Vijay Rajagopal is trying to give it a shot. Will he play at 100? Score 100 or 50?
I have nothing to lose. 100.
Nothing to lose, so 100.
Edward De Bono.
Oh, lovely. Extremely well played on Edward De Bono. He gets himself 100 on that one. Nothing to lose is perhaps a perfect analysis of the situation currently. But then Dhanush has also got himself back. It's been a long climb back, but he's back. And here's the next one coming on your screens. Hands on the buzzer. World of education. Here we go. Great personality. Oh, Vijay Rajagopal off in a flash. Yes, Vijay, 100 or 50?
100.
100?
Yeah, Howard Gardner.
Perfect. Oh, absolutely perfect. Well played. I would like to believe that many of our quizzes are actually about multiple intelligences in reality, because you've got audio, you've got video, you've got problem solving. Vijay moves on to 200. He would only like to believe, I wish these two were the first 2 questions of the quiz. Well, you know, the quiz would have started differently, but Malika on 650 has really put this way beyond all the others lined up here. As we go to the final question of this world final, on your screen, here it comes. Identify this teacher who's actually teaching in that photograph. Malika wants to finish this quiz with a last hit. She has the right to that for sure. 100 or 50?
50?
Very gracious. Yes, go on. Identify this teacher.
He was known as a student's teacher, the very great Dr. Abu Bakr Janamul Abdul Kalam.
Boy. Does she get every single word right? We could not have had a better last question as we celebrate yet another birthday of Dr. Abdul Kalam today. Malika Kaleem, the world champion of this quiz. Oh, truly outstanding and in style. 700. Well, we would like to have conversations with your classmates from your school and college days. They sure would have stayed far away from you. Well, if she's got this kind of alacrity in her and the passion, well, she's really battled hard. She's rushed back from college to log into this quiz. I think it's her passion that has made her the champion, apart from the repository of knowledge she has. Malika, truly appreciate your performance. And I don't think we expected someone to really sweep a world final like this. But you've really done the unthinkable, and you've done it in a manner where all the rest of us just seem to be standing in admiration and not feeling the loss. I think all the 3 others there, Dhanush, Deepta and Vijay, must be just smiling and saying, you know, suddenly they put amateurs with probably Usain Bolt and told us to run. That's probably how it suddenly feels. But congratulations to you, ma'am. We'd certainly like to have you react at this moment. Truly humbled by your performance. We'd certainly like to hear from you. All yours, ma'am.
First and foremost, Almighty, thank you, God, first and foremost, the protector. Thank you, TCS Ion, and the World Teachers Tribe. It's really like a dream come true. I've been watching your quizzes. I used to think that maybe someday I'll have a face-to-face with you, but this is the virtual one. Maybe someday again we'll meet. Thank you, my fellow contestants, teachers. They rock the world. And one more thing, like the success shouldn't go to the head. I would like to quote Kabir Das. बड़ा हुआ तो क्या हुआ जैसे पेड़ खजूर पंथी को छाया नहीं फल लागे अति दूर. So I would ground always. And ऐसी बानी बोलिए मन का आपा खोए औरों को शीतल करे आपहु शीतल होए जैसे आप कहते हैं गिरी जी. So Giri, like a mountain, आपके पास तो classic questions हैं. Really, kudos to you and your team and Rashmi dear, you're so sweet. Thank you, my management, my principal, my vice principal and all my colleagues for their wonderful wishes. My students, जिनके लिए छोटी-छोटी चीजें भी बच्चों से सीखने को मिलती है. And it's like, it's from the cradle to the graveyard. One is always learning. And quoting Kalam Saab, the greatest teacher is always the last mistake which he made. So we should always be learning. It's a never-ending process.
Thank you so much, Malika ma'am. That was truly appropriate at a moment like this. Well, I just felt like saying wah rather than saying superb. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a phenomenal final. At the end of the day, it's our professor from Nagpur who blazed away to become the first ever world champion of Know It All, the World Teachers Quiz 2020. Finishing runner-up behind her, though we'll treat all the three of them as equal runners-up, it is still Vijay Krishna, the institution builder from Bengaluru, who finishes with a very credible 200, but that 200 looks a little dwarfed in front of the performance by Malika Kaleem. But at a national final, 200 is a very good score. The others truly appreciative of the performance that she's put up here today. Ladies and gentlemen, teachers, educators, boys and girls, students across the world, all of you watching this phenomenal movement. From me, Pick Brain, from my young colleague Rashmi Furtado, from the entire team of Quizitil that has brought this quiz to you, from people from TCS Ion, from all of us at the TeacherTribe.world, like we always say, may the tribe increase. But we will leave you with a promise that we will be back a year from now with a second edition of Know It All, the World Teachers Quiz 2021. Till then, from all of us here, truly appreciate your presence for joining us. Well, as we remember and salute Dr. Kalam on this day, we leave you with the thought that we shall be back to celebrate our teachers. But till then, let's remember they are the ones who make this world a better place. On that note, truly appreciate all of you for joining us. From me, Pig Brain, thank you and goodbye.